Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the answer key to the quiz over 9.1 and 9.4 through 9.4 that you took last week. A point retrieval is also attached to this Google Classroom assignment so that you can do that to earn your points back on this quiz. Problem number 1 says use the graph to find the solutions of the function negative 1/2 x squared minus x plus 4 equals 0. So if you look at the graph, you can see that there are zeros at negative 4 and at 2. So your solution is x equals negative 4 and 2. That was worth 1 point. The equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 has no real solutions. Which statement about the graph of that function could be true? It can't pass through the origin. That means that there's 1, 0. It could not have a vertex at negative 6, 0. That would mean that, again, the vertex is on the x-axis, and so that has 1, 0. It could not have a maximum at negative 3, 2, because if I sketched a graph of that, if it's going down, then it crosses the x-axis in 2 places. But it could have a minimum at 0, 4, because then the graph starts above the x-axis and it opens up, and so it does not cross the x-axis. That also was worth 1 point. Problem number 3 was worth 3 points. 1, you had to factor that equation and find the coordinates of the vertex. Then you had to graph it. So when you factor x squared plus 8x plus 12, you can say that 6 and 2 both multiply to get 12 and add to get 8. So it's x plus 6 and x plus 2 equals 0. So I determined that my two x-intercepts were negative 6 and negative 2 by the zero product property. So when I do that, I'm going to make sure that I graph negative 6 and negative 2 there. Then in order to find the vertex, I have to use negative b over 2a. So negative 8 over 2 times 1 ends up being negative 4. When I plug negative 4 into the function, I get negative 4 also for my y value. So my vertex is negative 4, negative 4. Place that point there, and then I can connect all of those 3 points to create my parabola. Problem number 4 is worth 2 points. Solving by factoring, 1 for each of the 2 zeros. So when you factor, remember you have to move that 36 to the other side to set it equal to 0. And you're going to try and find 2 things that multiply to get negative 36 and add to get 9. And that ends up being positive 12 and negative 3. So it's factored as x plus 12 times x minus 3 equals 0. And then you use the zero product property to solve. And you subtract 12 from both sides and add 3 to both sides, and you get x equals negative 12 and positive 3. On the back, I ended up making number 5 extra credit because it was a lot to do. It was 1 point extra credit if you got the correct answer. Because they wanted the length or width of the parking lot, which is x, and the entire area of this is 30,000, you had to then subtract from the entire length 2x and from the width 1x to get the area of the field. So 300 minus 2x times 200 minus x is equal to 30,000. When you multiplied that out, you got 60,000 minus 700x plus 2x squared, and you have to set it equal to 0. So subtract 30,000 from both sides to get 2x squared minus 700x plus 30,000 equals 0. You can make it simpler for yourself by dividing everything by 2, and then when you factor it, you end up getting x minus 50 times x minus 300 equals 0. So x can equal 50 or 300, but when you think about it, 300 isn't possible in this situation because if x was 300, that wouldn't leave any room for the field. So it can only be x equal to 50. Now number 6 was worth 3 points, 1 for each of the following. In order to solve this, you had to divide by 2 first, then take the square root. The square root of 8 can be broken down to the square root of 4 times the square root of 2, which ends up being plus or minus 2 square root 2. Letter B, when you subtract 16 on both sides, you get x squared equals negative 16, which is not possible, so that is no solution. And then letter C, when you subtract 7, then divide by 4, you get x squared equals the square root of 12. The square root of 12 can be broken down to the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. Square root of 4 is 2, so x is equal to plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3. That quiz total was worth 10 points. So again, check that point retrieval so that you can earn points back on that quiz.